Kareem, stop!
No,
I'm yours!
you not mine!
You can fuck me right now!
Alright, I can fuck you right now?
Help!
I can fuck you right now?
Yes!
Show me.
Okay!
Show me. Prove
Let's
it to me.
go!
Prove it to me.
Let's go!
Take your hand off the gun.
I will!
Take your hand off the gun.
But you have to pull my pants down!
Okay, take your hand off the gun.
Stop!
Take your hand off the gun.
Kareem! Stop! Hey,
That's what I'm saying. If you don't take your hand off the gun, you is going to get shot by this.
parking lot! Stop!
Told you. Fucking told you.
Kareem! Stop!
No, bro.
Parking lot! Employee parking lot! Help!
January 30th, 2023. A Marta police sergeant speaking to her ex-boyfriend in a dark parking lot. 8 gunshots echo through the night. A man runs for his life. 3 bullets hit him in the back as he tries to escape. Here's where this story gets absolutely insane. The woman who fired those shots, she's not in jail. She's not charged with anything. The man she shot 8 times, he's the one sitting in a cell, charged with assault. Against her. How does someone shoot you 8 times, including 3 times in the back, while you're running away, and you become the criminal? How does the person holding the gun walk free while the person bleeding out goes to jail? The answer is simple and terrifying. She had something more powerful than a gun. She had a badge. This is the story of Cheryl Clark and Cleveland Lambert. A story about the perfect crime where the weapon wasn't just a gun. It was authority. It was a uniform. It was a system designed to protect the person who pulled the trigger instead of the person running for his life. Before we go any further, I need to ask you something. Have you ever felt completely powerless against someone with authority? Someone who could twist the truth and be believed just because of their position? Someone who could hurt you and get away with it because the system protects them? Drop a comment and let me know. And if this story shakes you the way it shook me, hit that like button so more people can see what really happened that night in Atlanta. The man trying to start over, July 2022. The Georgia summer sun beat down hard as Cleveland Lambert walked through the final checkpoint at Georgia State Prison. He was 38 years old. Everything he owned fit into a single clear plastic bag. Some clothes, a few letters from his mother, a small Bible she'd sent him 3 years ago, time served, debt to society paid. The details of his conviction don't matter for the story. What matters is what every person feels when those prison gates close behind them for the last time. Hope mixed with pure terror. Hope that this time will be different. Terror that the world moved on without you, and there's no place left where you fit. Lambert caught a Greyhound bus to Atlanta. His sister Keisha had agreed to let him stay at her East Atlanta apartment until he got on his feet. She met him at the station with tears in her eyes and a hug that lasted longer than he expected. "You're home now," she whispered. "You're really home." But home is a complicated word when you're a convicted felon trying to rebuild from nothing. Every single morning at 5 a.m., Lambert's alarm would go off. He'd put on the same clean shirt and pants, his only interview outfit, and catch the MARTA train downtown. Construction sites, warehouses, restaurants, gas stations, anywhere that might hire someone with his record. The rejections became a rhythm he knew by heart. Background check didn't clear. Position's been filled. We'll call you. They never called. His parole officer, a tired man named Marcus, who'd seen 1,000 guys like Lambert come and go, wrote in his reports, "Perfect attendance, clean drug tests. Subject is compliant and motivated." By every measurable standard, Cleveland Lambert was doing everything right. Then finally, a break. A restaurant near Peachtree needed a dishwasher. Minimum wage, $7.25 an hour. But it was honest work. The manager, an older woman named Rosa, looked at his application, looked at his face, and said something he'd remember forever. Everybody deserves a second chance. Lambert worked like his life depended on it. Because it did. He showed up early. He stayed late. He never complained. He started sending money to his mother in Augusta. Not much, but enough to let her know he was thinking about her. For 3 months, Lambert's life followed a simple, predictable pattern. Work, train, home, sleep, repeat. He was rebuilding. Slowly, carefully, like a man building a house of cards in a windstorm. But then, something changed. His sister Keisha noticed it first. "Why are you taking the long way home now?" she asked one evening, when he arrived 20 minutes later than usual. Lambert shrugged. "The crowds at 5 Point Station make me nervous." It was a lie, and Keisha knew it. You don't survive prison without learning how to handle crowds. But she didn't push. Everyone has secrets, especially people trying to outrun their past. The truth was more complicated. The truth had a name, a face, and a badge. Her name was Sergeant Cheryl Clark. The sergeant with a pattern. While Cleveland Lambert was scrubbing pots for $7.25 an hour, Sergeant Cheryl Lashai Clark was pulling down $68,000 a year with the MARTA Police Department. 15 years on the force, multiple commendations for excellence, a service record that looked from the outside like a model career in law enforcement. She'd worked her way up from patrol officer to sergeant, earning respect in a profession where respect doesn't come easy for women. To her colleagues, Clark was professional, competent, and reliable. She showed up on time. She filed her paperwork. She handled difficult situations with authority. If you'd asked any of her fellow officers about Sergeant Clark in 2022, most would have said she was solid, good cop, no drama. But what her colleagues didn't know was that buried in Cheryl Clark's personnel files were 3 prior complaints. 2 for excessive force against civilians. 1 for harassment of an ex-boyfriend in 2019. All 3 investigations were closed without action. Their details buried in files that the public would never see. That harassment complaint from 2019 is particularly interesting. The ex-boyfriend, whose name was kept hidden from all public records, told investigators that Clark couldn't accept the end of their relationship. She would show up at his apartment in uniform. She would drive past his workplace over and over. She used police databases to track his movements and figure out where he was. When he finally got the courage to file a complaint, Clark's defense was simple. She was conducting legitimate patrols. The fact that those patrols happened to pass his apartment 7 times in one evening? Just a coincidence. The investigation concluded there was insufficient evidence to prove harassment. The ex-boyfriend moved to Florida shortly after. Nobody followed up to see if he was okay. This pattern of using the authority of the badge to control personal relationships wasn't unique to Clark. A Department of Justice study found that 40% of police officers admitted to using violence or intimidation in their personal relationships. That's 4 times higher than regular civilians. But here's the crucial difference. When a civilian commits assault, they get arrested. When a police officer does it, they get administrative leave and an internal investigation that almost always concludes with policy violations instead of criminal charges. Cheryl Clark understood this system deeply. She'd seen it protect her before. If you think power imbalances in relationships are dangerous, especially when one person has a badge and authority over the other, hit that like button right now, because what happened next shows exactly why this matters. The relationship nobody knew about. Nobody knows exactly when or where Cheryl Clark first met Cleveland Lambert. The official timeline stays deliberately vague on this point, which is interesting in itself. What we do know is that by late summer 2022, just weeks after Lambert's release from prison, they were in a relationship. Not a public relationship. Not the kind where you meet each other's families or post photos on social media. A secret relationship. The kind that happens in shadows. Think about Lambert's situation. Fresh out of prison. Barely making minimum wage. No real support network beyond his sister. When a woman with authority, with stability, with power, showed interest in him, it must have felt like salvation. Like maybe his luck was finally changing. Friends of Lambert started noticing changes during this time. He seemed more anxious, more secretive. He started carrying a second phone, a burner, that he wouldn't explain. When people asked about his personal life, he'd change the subject fast. Then, in October 2022, Cheryl Clark made a decision that should have raised red flags everywhere. She requested a transfer to night shift at 5 Points Station. Now, let me explain something about 5 Points. It's the busiest, most dangerous beat in the entire MARTA system. 40,000 people pass through there every single day. Drug deals happen in plain sight. Assaults are common. Stabbings happen regularly. Most officers rotate out after 6 months because the stress is impossible to handle. Clark specifically asked to stay there. Why would a 15-year veteran with a safe, comfortable assignment voluntarily choose the most dangerous beat in the system? The official explanation was that she wanted to make a difference in a high-crime area. The real explanation? 5 Points Station was where Cleveland Lambert transferred trains on his way home from work every single night. By December 2022, the relationship between Clark and Lambert had fallen apart. The specifics of what went wrong remain murky. Neither person has spoken publicly in detail about this period, but pieces of the story emerged from phone records and witness statements. There was money involved. Clark claimed Lambert owed her $1,000. Lambert told his sister that Clark had given him money as gifts and was now demanding it back after they broke up. There were threats. Lambert told a coworker at the restaurant that his ex-girlfriend was crazy and that he was genuinely afraid of her. When the coworker suggested he call the police, Lambert laughed bitterly. She is the police. There were constant calls and texts from Clark that Lambert stopped answering. Drive-bys past his sister's apartment. Sudden appearances at his workplace, where Clark would sit at the bar in civilian clothes, just watching him scrub dishes. Lambert stopped taking his usual route home. He started varying his schedule, leaving work at unpredictable times. His paranoia grew. He told his sister he was being followed. By who? Keisha asked. It doesn't matter, Lambert said. Nobody would believe me anyway. He was absolutely right about that. The night everything changed, January 30th, 2023. A Monday night. Cold for Atlanta. temperatures in the low 40s. At some point during that day, Cheryl Clark sent Cleveland Lambert a text message. The exact content of that message has never been made public, but whatever it said, it worked. Lambert agreed to meet her that night. 9:06 p.m. Sergeant Clark's patrol car sits idling in the corner of a MARTA police station parking lot. She radios dispatch with her location. Unit 47 at location code 4. All quiet. Nothing to report. Code 4 means no assistance needed. Everything is under control. What dispatch doesn't know is that Clark isn't on patrol. She's waiting. At 9:14 p.m., security cameras capture a Honda Civic entering the parking lot. The driver is Cleveland Lambert. He pulls into a parking space under the only broken streetlight in the entire lot. Not by chance. Clark had told him exactly where to park. Think about that for a moment. Really think about it. A police officer tells a civilian to meet her in a police station parking lot, in the dark, under a broken streetlight, while she's on duty and armed. If Lambert had been thinking clearly, he would have recognized this setup for exactly what it was. But people in abusive relationships don't always think clearly. They think maybe this time will be different. Maybe if I just do what she wants, it will finally be okay. Maybe I can finally be free of this. At 9:15 p.m., Lambert exits his vehicle and walks toward Clark's position. Security footage shows his hands are visible and empty. This detail becomes absolutely critical to everything that happens next. Clark's body camera is on. Department policy required her to activate it during any citizen contact. But the camera is conveniently angled in a way that shows only part of the interaction. The audio, however, captures everything. And what it captures will change this entire story. I want you to stop right now and drop a comment. Based on everything you've heard so far, do you think what's about to happen is self-defense? Or is it something much, much worse? The audio that exposes the truth. Cheryl Clark's own body camera captures her words that night.
Cream, stop!
No,
I'm yours!
not mine!
You can fuck me right. You can fuck me right now.
I can fuck you right now?
Help!
I can fuck you right now?
Yes!
Show me.
Okay.
Show me. Prove
Let's
it to me.
go.
Prove it to me.
Let's go.
Take your hand off the gun.
I will.
Take your hand off the gun.
But you have to pull my pants down.
Okay, take your hand off the
Stop!
gun. Take your hand off the gun.
Kareem, stop.
Let it sink in. This is not the language of fear. This is not the voice of someone defending themselves against an attacker. This is manipulation. This is someone using sex as bait to lure someone closer. Then Clark says this, and she repeats it multiple times.
Hey,
That's what I'm saying. If you don't take your hand off the gun, you is going to get shot by this.
parking lot. Stop.
I told you. I fucking told you.
Kareem, stop.
No, bro.
Here's what the audio reveals that the official police report tried to hide. Cleveland Lambert never grabbed the gun, never touched it, never reached for it. Security footage would later confirm his hands were visible and empty the entire time. So why is Clark saying this over and over? She's creating a verbal narrative for the body camera. She's establishing what lawyers call reasonable belief that she was in danger. She's building her defense in real time, knowing the audio is recording every word. Then she says this, if you don't take your hand off the gun, you're going to get shot in this parking lot. That's not a warning. That's a promise. That's someone who has already decided what's going to happen next. Then come the shots. 8 of them. The ballistics report would later tell the full story that the audio only hints at. The first 2 rounds hit the ground near Lambert's feet. The next 3 strike him as he's turning away. The final 3 hit him in the back as he runs. Let me repeat that. 3 bullets in the back while he's running away. The angle of entry told investigators even more. The shots came from above, at a downward angle. Clark was standing upright while Lambert was already falling or crouched down. This is not defensive shooting. This is execution. Cleveland Lambert, bleeding from 8 gunshot wounds, somehow manages to get back to his car. He drives away, trying to get help, trying to escape. He crashes less than 2 blocks from the shooting scene. He can't see through the blood streaming down his face. When backup arrives at the parking lot, everything moves with the smooth efficiency of a well-rehearsed play. And here's where you really see how the system works. Cheryl Clark is treated like a victim. Paramedics check her for injuries. Fellow officers comfort her. Someone hands her a bottle of water. The crime scene is secured around her, not around the actual shooting victim who's being cut out of a crashed car 2 blocks away. The GBI, Georgia Bureau of Investigation, takes over the case, as protocol requires for officer-involved shootings. Their forensic team starts asking questions. Good questions, important questions. Why did Clark's body camera show only a partial view of the interaction? Why were there no defensive wounds on Clark, despite her claim of being attacked? Why did the shooting pattern suggest execution rather than self-defense? Why did the audio include sexually explicit language from Clark if she was supposedly being assaulted? These are excellent questions. Questions that should lead to serious consequences. But they don't. None of these questions lead to charges against Sergeant Cheryl Clark. The victim becomes the criminal February 2nd, 2023, just 3 days after the shooting. While Cleveland Lambert fights for his life in Grady Hospital's intensive care unit, prosecutors make their decision. Lambert has 8 gunshot wounds, partial paralysis in his left arm, chronic pain that no medication can fully control, over $400,000 in medical bills he has absolutely no way to pay, PTSD so severe he can barely function. And while he's lying in that hospital bed, this is what happens. Cleveland Lambert is charged with aggravated assault on a police officer, battery, and attempting to disarm an officer. If convicted, he faces 20 years in prison. Cheryl Clark, no charges filed, none. District Attorney Fonnie Willis explains the decision in a press release. Based on the evidence presented, we cannot prove beyond reasonable doubt that Sergeant Clark's use of force was unlawful. The victim's own criminal actions precipitated the incident. The victim's own criminal actions. That's the phrase they used. That's how they described what happened when a woman lured a man to a dark parking lot and shot him 8 times, including 3 times in the back while he ran for his life. Let me paint a picture of what Lambert's life looks like now. Partial paralysis means he can't work. Chronic pain means he can't sleep. $400,000 in medical bills means he's financially destroyed. PTSD means he can't leave his room without panic attacks. And through all of this, he sits in jail on $200,000 bond that he has no possible way to afford, waiting for trial for assaulting the woman who shot him. Meanwhile, Cheryl Clark is placed on paid administrative leave. That means she's getting her full $68,000 salary to sit at home while the department conducts its investigation. For over a year, nothing happens. The investigation drags on with no updates, no timeline, no accountability. Just silence. Finally, in March 2024, 15 months after she shot Lambert 8 times, Clark is terminated from the MARTA Police Department. The official reason given: violation of a department policy. Which policy? They won't say. Was it a criminal violation? No charges filed. Will she lose her pension? No. Will she ever face prosecution for what she did? Extremely unlikely. This is how the system protects its own. Not with dramatic cover-ups or conspiracy theories, but with bureaucratic language and procedural delays and insufficient evidence, determinations that quietly make accountability impossible. The perfect crime. Here's what keeps me up at night about the Cheryl Clark case. It's not unique, it's not even rare, it's a pattern. Since 2020, there have been 17 similar cases nationwide. Police officers using their position to control, stalk, or harm current and former partners. Officers who understood that the badge provides perfect cover for violence because the system is built to believe them over civilians. Want to know how many convictions came out of those 17 cases? 2. Just 2. The pattern is disturbingly consistent across all these cases. First, establish a relationship with someone vulnerable, someone with a criminal record, someone struggling financially, someone without social power or connections. Second, use the authority of the badge to control and intimidate them. Third, when the relationship ends and the victim tries to break free, create a scenario where self-defense seems believable. Fourth, rely on the credibility that comes with the badge and the system's built-in protections for police officers. Fifth, watch as prosecutors decline to file charges because they can't prove the officer wasn't afraid. In 15 of those 17 cases, the officer's story became the official narrative. No matter what the evidence suggested, no matter what witnesses said, no matter what the forensics showed. The 2 cases that actually resulted in convictions, both involved extensive video evidence from multiple angles, and both victims were white women with financial resources to hire private attorneys. Even then, the sentences were shockingly light, 5 years and 7 years respectively, for what regular civilians would have faced life in prison for committing. Georgia law makes prosecuting police officers nearly impossible. The reasonable belief standard means if an officer claims they felt threatened, that's usually enough for prosecutors to decline charges. Body camera footage can be sealed indefinitely. Internal investigations stay internal, hidden from public view. Personnel files remain confidential forever. Cheryl Clark understood all of this. She'd seen the system protect her before, when complaints were filed and quietly buried. She knew that shooting someone in a police station parking lot while in uniform would trigger a specific response. Protect the officer first. Ask questions later. Give every benefit of every doubt to the person with the badge. She knew that Cleveland Lambert's criminal record would be the first thing anyone heard about him. That his vulnerability, his poverty, his past, his complete powerlessness would make him the perfect victim. Because nobody would believe him over a decorated sergeant with 15 years of service. She knew that the audio of her using sexual language could be explained away as attempting to de-escalate or tactical communication. She knew that shooting a man 8 times, including 3 times in the back, could still be justified with 3 simple words: feared for my life. And she was absolutely right. As of right now, Cleveland Lambert remains in custody, awaiting trial for assaulting the woman who shot him 8 times. His public defender is overwhelmed with cases and has limited resources. His family can't afford a private attorney. His medical needs aren't being properly met in jail. Cheryl Clark is free. No charges, no prosecution. No accountability beyond losing a job she can easily replace at another police department in another city. Because departments rarely check these records carefully, and the blue wall of silence protects its own. The badge became a weapon. The uniform became camouflage for a planned attack. And the system that's supposed to protect everyone protected only the person who pulled the trigger. If this story disturbs you the way it disturbs me, I need you to do something. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss another case like this. Drop a comment below with your honest thoughts about what happened to Cleveland Lambert. And please share this video. Share it everywhere. Because the only way this system changes is if enough people see how broken it really is. Cleveland Lambert deserves justice. He deserves people to know his story. He deserves better than being shot 8 times and then charged with assault for the crime of trying to survive. Rest in power to everyone failed by a system that values badges over lives. Your stories matter. Your voices matter. And the truth will always find a way to be heard, even when they try to silence it.